Before we begin, thank you very much to Supercomputer Wheeljack. You ruined a perfectly good AI. Look at it, Teve. They've got anxiety. For joining the Patreon campaign. I don't question these things sometimes. I just read them. And things happen. But thank you very much for contributing. At your level, I owe you a custom video, whatever you want me to do, as long as it's in TOS and relatively close to what I talk about, though I'm willing to do just about anything. And that is exactly what today's video is. It is a Patreon request. Someone asked me to design the Transformer iteration of Forever Red. Now, if you know, the original Forever Red is a legendary Power Ranger episode representing and celebrating the 10th anniversary of the franchise, bringing together 10 different Red Rangers from over every season. Even things like Alien Ranger were in there, you know, but point being, and bringing back the original actors as well, which was pretty cool to see. So, altogether, is a really famous episode of Power Rangers. Probably the most famous single episode of Power Rangers there was. So, what does the Transformer version look like? Well, I think you start where we see in the screen. I think you start with the Optimus Primes, or the Optimuses in this case. You're going to need something for them to fight against. So, if it's going to be a lot of Optimus Primes, then we do have to have one extra character involved in this that is not an Optimus Prime, and that is Vector Prime. We need the Watcher of Space and Time in order to bring all of these different Primes together from all these different universes. Because, of course, the difference between Power Rangers and Transformers, Power Rangers is, with a few weird exceptions, all one continuity, so all of these Red Rangers coexist, whereas all the Optimus Primes are from different universes, so we need some way of dragging them into one. So we absolutely need Vector Prime to be able to do that. Traversing space and time is his thing, and as one of the 13 Primes, he's got the ability to do it, as well as the ability to find and recognize a threat that is of universal level, to the point where it would need a 10 Optimus Prime lineup in order to fix. So, in this case, what is that? Because I don't want it to be as just like, basic as Unicron. I think Unicron has a part to play, but not as the lead villain. And I don't want it to be something as lame, because admittedly, the villainship in Forever Red is really lame. It's the remnants of the Machine Empire, the Machine Empire that one Red Ranger was able to beat, but apparently these leftovers will require 10, and I think it's because they're actually Beetleborgs. I think that's the real reason that they're that powerful and that threatening. They need 10 Red Rangers. Oh, by the way, if you've been watching this weekend of videos, yes, my 3D printer is still running. It will have to run. It has to run. I don't have any other time. I don't have time to stop it. Because I asked people at TFCon, hey, do you want a little TJOmega cyber key as a little keepsake from meeting me? And literally everyone raised their hand, so I have to make a million of them. So, back to the point. I apologize for the background noise. Back to the point. What do we need? We need a villain. We need a villain that actually is worth bringing together all these Optimus Primes. And the one that comes to mind, I think the only one that actually works, is the final villain of the original Generation 1 story, and that is Dark Nova. We don't really touch on Dark Nova enough in Transformers fandom. It is described as a Unicron-like being, but it appears at the very end of Battlestars. It is what brings Galvatron back to life, turns him into Super Galvatron, and then Ultra Galvatron, and then ultimately combining with him to create, I believe, Star Giant is the name. It's a big story. It's like, well, it's not a big storyline. It's basically just like wrap up of the entire G1 fiction. But we've never actually seen it in Western fiction, even though it is like an end universe threat, you know? So I think it's a good fit here. I think it's a really good way of reusing that villain in this case, and I think it is a villain appropriate for a 10 Optimus Prime rundown. So, the thing with Forever Red is it was simple. Just put every Red Ranger there's ever been together at the same time. Well, I don't really have that luxury because there's a lot more than 10 Optimus Primes out there. So we need to pick. We need a team. No, this is this is mask levels of like assemble the best team of agents for this mission. So who is the roster? That is the question. What Optimus Primes are correct for this mission? So I've chosen 10, and I think the first one has to be the original Optimus Prime in his strongest form, so you gotta have Star Convoy in the mix. Dark Nova is his villain after all, so it makes total sense that he would be involved in this. He's basically going to be your like Mighty Morphin Red Ranger. He is the main guy. He is the original leader, or even Tommy. He might actually be the Tommy of this one because he's been around the longest, and he's absolutely the strongest one here. That's just a kind of a given when Tommy's on the roster. So, yeah, I think Star Convoy is a must. That one doesn't really need explanation. Who else, though? We need someone who looks like a classic Optimus Prime. Someone who isn't loaded out with guns and sharp points like this. So I decided instead of pulling a G1 Optimus Prime, like a cartoon Optimus Prime, because this is technically the cartoon Optimus Prime, I've decided let's pull from the comic books and we'll put in Marvel Optimus Prime. Why? Because in order to stop Dark Nova, you might have to do the unthinkable. You might have to go places. You might have to be willing to sacrifice everything, and you don't know what form that sacrifice will take. It will just be potentially extreme. And no iteration of Optimus Prime has been willing to sacrifice himself in extreme ways like this one has. He is willing to be point blank in the center of the Matrix explosion. He is willing to let the swarm eat him alive in order to save the universe. Every Prime is self-sacrificing. Let's not kid ourselves. Every Optimus Prime would sacrifice themselves in order to save the universe. But in this case, this one has shown he will do it. And not only that, he will become more powerful afterwards. This is not an easy Optimus Prime to kill, even though he is more than willing to sacrifice his life. So, he is on the team. Who else makes this roster? So, let's go with a little bit of a left field choice, but I think it works. We're going with the Cyberverse Optimus Prime. Why Cyberverse Optimus Prime? Because if you're going to put all these Optimus Primes together, you're going to have a lot of matrices to toss around, right? And that is the kill switch. That is the, if we just want to end Dark Nova, let's just rip a matrix open and call it a day, right? We're going to assume he's a little bit tougher than that. So in this situation, I want Cyberverse Optimus Prime here because no Optimus Prime has been more willing to weaponize the Matrix than him. He will use it to form shields. He will use it to power up his Autobots. But he is not like a Matrix is a last-ditch effort thing. He is just like, Matrix is my preferred weapon of choice. If I'm playing Street Fighter 2, the Matrix is my Hadouken, and I'm fireball spamming. That's Cyberverse Optimus Prime. So I want him on this team. If anyone will be able to get everyone else to actually weaponize their matrices against Dark Nova, it's gonna be him. Moving on, I want Armada Optimus Prime on this team, or any iteration of the trilogy Optimus Prime, I should say, because he brings a little bit up. Again, he's a very hard Optimus Prime to kill. He's faced off against Unicron and come back fine. That's more than Marvel Optimus Prime can say. So he does have some credentials to him. Also, if there's no Optimus Prime better at finding ways of powering himself up, be that with combining with someone else on the team, or through just sheer spirit of justice, just like burning justice power up in the Cybertron series. So he is capable of pulling wells of power out of just about anywhere, whether it's from someone else or within. I think that would come in handy. Let's go to another Optimus Prime, and this would be the IDW Prime. I'm putting him on the team because he has faced apocalyptic things more than once and come away just fine. Granted, he is another Prime who did not survive an encounter with Unicron, as far as we know, but he's also faced down things like a black hole that could have swallowed everything, basically could have wiped out all of Cybertron. He's faced off some really cataclysmic stuff and walked away from it. So I want him on the team for experience. I want him on the team because he's been through it, and he knows, and then he can still keep his cool and form a plan even when everything looks absolutely dire. When the planet Cybertron was completely destroyed, this is the guy who still had a plan for Unicron. So I'm giving him credit. If anyone can plan around this giant catastrophe and keep their level head, it's him. Moving on. I want someone young on the team. I want someone young who is not worn out and and just kind of numbed from millions of years of war. And for that, we need animated Optimus Prime on the list. I want someone younger who can bring more imaginative solutions. Someone who can think outside the box, who isn't stuck in their ways because they've been a general for literal eons. And that's what this Optimus Prime brings. He brings hope. He brings youthfulness. He brings imagination. And I think that is going to be a very important quality when we're dealing with something that is as powerful as Dark Nova, and when you're dealing with so many Optimus Primes who might have their heads stuck in their ways. It's always worth throwing in something that's going to make you think differently. It's just always helpful. So we're throwing in Animated Prime. Hear me out on this one. Hear me out on this one. I'm throwing in Movie Optimus Prime. And you know when watching this channel, Movie Optimus Prime in design and character is not my favorite Optimus Prime, far from it. But frankly, if we're going up against Dark Nova, who has legions of legions of grunt enemies to throw at these Optimus Primes, we need a psychopath. I need a psychopath who is ready to slit throats at a moment's notice. I need someone who's going to jump into that battlefield and be the last one standing, covered in viscera. And that is Movie Optimus Prime. This is the one I send up against like the grunts. This is the one I send to clear the field. Because we've seen this Optimus Prime clear the field of just generic Decepticons. He's very good at it, and he does not hesitate to finish off foes permanently. Let's say. So we need him on the team, because frankly, I need a psycho. I need a psychopath on this team, and that's my Optimus for that. Let's see. I'm throwing in another one just for me. I'm throwing in Optimus Primal. Now, for a few reasons. Number one, tech from the future, always a helpful thing in a situation like this. But also, this is really to just kind of fill in the Forever Red roster. Because remember, not everyone on that team was a leader Red Ranger. Because we also had the Quantum Ranger on there, who was Red Ranger in color only. He was never a team leader like all the others. So, similar, this one has the dressings of an Optimus Prime. But he is not a leader of an entire race. He is not Cybertron's leader. He's not even the Maximals' leader. So he's just leader of some Maximals, a few Maximals. But I throw him in because future knowledge is always a helpful thing, and I feel like that. I feel like that is worth an edge, because clearly, if all these primes still exist, then Dark Nova failed. So this is the guy who's going to know how Dark Nova failed. It's a cheat code. I'm throwing Optimus Primal in there as a cheat code. I need a Prime that's going to keep everyone grounded, who's going to bring a sense of hope and unity to the team, and there's no one better for unifying a team than Rescue Bot's Optimus Prime. I am skipping Prime Optimus Prime in order to put this one in, who is more lighthearted, who is more jovial, who is much more unity type Optimus Prime. I feel like this is the one to keep everyone grounded. I feel like he's the glue that keeps this ragtag group together. Now, most Optimus Primes are going to agree on everything, but you do have harsher elements in here. IDW Prime is, like a little more cynical and a little bit too serious. Movie Optimus Prime's the loose cannon. So obviously, we gotta have something that kind of like brings everyone together. I feel like it's him. Basically, I need a Spider-Ham. I need a Spider-Ham on this team. And that is it. You are my Spider-Ham. That is what you are, Rescue Bots Optimus Prime. We got room on the team for one more, and this is going to be the left field. Hear me out. Hear me out. Hear me out. Okay? We're putting Shattered Glass Prime on the team. Now, hold on. Hold on. Number one. With 9 other Optimus Primes and Vector Prime watching over him, I don't think he's going to pull anything. I don't think he's going to pull anything. He might form an alliance with Movie Optimus Prime. They're kind of cut from the same cloth, unfortunately. However, I don't think he's actually going to pull anything. But why? Why am I willing to let an evil Optimus Prime, a tyrant, onto this list? Well, number one, he's not going to want anyone else to rule or destroy the universe except him. So he's going to take this personally. But also, the one thing, I say that every one of these Optimus Primes is willing to throw away their lives and make the ultimate sacrifice in order to save the day. But this is the Optimus Prime who is willing to go further. This is the Optimus Prime who will do literally whatever it takes. Even if that means sacrificing teammates, even if that means some weak flesh creatures get annihilated in the process, if all comes down to it, if everything looks bleak, and there really is no way of making this omelet without cracking some eggs, this guy's the egg beater. This guy is the edge of your kitchen counter, smashing the eggshells. And we need that edge, just in case. So, that is my 10 to go up against whatever form Dark Nova takes. That's pretty much it. So we need a reason. We need a reason, though. So Dark Nova's always been associated with Unicron very vaguely. And here we see that he is capable of merging with other beings. He did so with Megatron in order to face off against the Autobots personally. So I don't think it's too far out of the imagination that Dark Nova might try to possess Unicron. They are both universal destroying beings. To combine the two, that is where you get a threat that is worth 10 Optimus Primes teaming up in order to stop it. That is the threat that I think is great enough. It's a little bit better than, like some old Beetleborgs are going to fly Zed's old dragon. I think it's a little bit more imperative, a little bit more universally threatening. So that's where I come in. And so I'm not going to do like a whole storyline out of this, because let's be honest, Forever Red is pretty much a very thin story. There's really not a whole lot to it, but it's worth discussing. It's worth, throwing this little video together. And there's really, in a strange way, this isn't just mimicking Forever Red. You know what this really is? You know what this storyline actually is? This is an origin to Alternity. Don't you see that? All these primes working together, one goal, single-minded, the beginning of the Alternity, hive mind of all convoys merging together to become this omnipotent universal being. This is where it begins. You start with 10, and then you build your collection of primes from across the multiverse. That's the beginning of the Alternity. And that is the end of this video. So that's what I would do with a Forever Red. At least a Transformer take on it. So I hope that satisfied the request. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope everyone enjoyed it. And as always, thank you very much for watching. I will see you next time.
We parlay with the captain.
You think a werecroc is going to listen to elvish rules of piracy?
Of course it would be the freaking elves that invented parlay.
I had to think of a quick replacement for the French.
Oh.